here. Let's get down to serious business. Let's go. All right, we heard Matt Eberflus speak earlier today about the coaches starting to plan how they want to approach the preseason now that OTAs have come to a close. For Caleb Williams specifically, we're all very excited. Everybody in the city is excited. Everybody around the country is excited, I'd say. So for Caleb Williams specifically, how much do you want to see him during the preseason?
I don't care.
Off to a great start, Shay. Thank you for crapping on my first question.
I'm not crapping on the question. It's a fine question. I'm just saying I don't care.
Shay's the type of person who's not going to put too much stock in anything that happens in said number of plays.
Not necessarily putting stock into it, but just for wanting to see him out there.
I would like to. I don't want to see him in the Hall of Fame game, to be clear. And then I guess in the first preseason game, give him a quarter.
Eberflus mentioned that I think it was Kerry Joseph. He's running the analytics on how many plays rookie quarterbacks have played in the preseason. Said something like 45 to 60. So that might be a rough number you can expect to maybe see Caleb Williams in preseason this year. I tend to, though, side with Shay in the sense that I don't think there's a whole lot to be gleaned from whatever happens in said preseason games. So just make it out injury-free. That's all I care about.
Do you want C.J. Stroud's preseason stats from last year?
I know they weren't great.
I don't.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Actually.
No, I think you brought it up. So
he was 2 of 4 for 16 yards with a touchdown in 2 series.
That's it? He only played 2 series? Or was it the first game?
Stroud concluded his preseason by going 2 of 4 for 16 yards with 1 touchdown in 2 series.
The way that reads, though, I feel like that's the last game of the preseason that he did, because there's no way he was just 2 of 4.
Maybe, but that's it.
No, I'm with you. Listen,
we're going to see 12 passes from Caleb Williams. My point is, when we get there, I don't want to hear about how we needed to throw more passes.
No, I'm with you.
We're going to be fine.
He's doing a lot of work in the OTAs and the mini camps. Just be healthy when the season starts.
All right. Let's move on to a little baseball, shall we? The Cubs are now, they're not last in the division after the best fans in baseball watched the Cardinals lose last night, but they are certainly sliding. They've been playing very poorly for a while. They cannot hit. They cannot get anybody out when it comes to the bullpen. It's not the greatest roster in the world, but they are, as it's come up today, 8th in payroll, so they have spent. It's just a question of how wisely they've committed some of that money. At any point this season, if the Cubs continue to play the way that they've played for well over a month now, do fingers get pointed perhaps at Jed Hoyer?
I'm already pointing mine. He built the team, man. It's his decision to bring the bullpen back. It's his decision to, whether he wanted to bring back Cody Bellinger or not, he made that decision. He signed the deal for Cody Bellinger. You can't go now and say, well, we never really wanted it, and we kind of thought this could be an outcome, so give Jed the time with his prospects. Next year, he's lame duck. If this is going to be another kind of seller's year, goodbye.
Here's the thing. He's pointing to the farm system and how he's proud of the farm system that they've assembled right now. He's putting a lot of pressure on that farm system to come up and immediately be good. The truth is, though, that rarely do you see prospects come up and then immediately be the reason why you're winning baseball games. Usually there's a 2 or 3 year buildup for young players to really turn into the linchpins of your lineup. And so we'll see. We'll wait and see what actually ends up happening. I don't know if Matt Shaw is, all of a sudden going to be the 2 or 3 hitter on the roster.
He's not exactly lighting it up in
this is
Tennessee.
My point. This is my point. Alexander Canarios had a cup of coffee, but he hasn't made the type of impact where you're like, he needs to be on the roster every day. And a couple of other players, Owen Casey, Cade Horton might not. We'll see. He may not actually pitch the rest of the season. We'll see how he actually comes back. And then Owen Casey, that's your power hitter in the minors. Again, I don't know if he's all of a sudden going to be the difference maker. So, yeah, I think Jed Hoyer is talking about the farm system. He's putting a lot of pressure on himself for this farm system to immediately come up and produce.
And cool, dude. Your philosophy is you love the minor leagues. You love your farm system. You love your prospect talent. That's fantastic. I'm very happy for you. You have 2 choices now because you decided to buy last year. Here's the consequence. The major league team stinks. You can either show us the farm system by bringing some of these kids up or trade some of them to make the major league team better. That's where you're at. It's a fork in the road. You pick. And honestly, in his heart of hearts, I really feel like he would vastly prefer this team stay the course, slightly out of the wild card, but not enough that he's pressured into making a splashy move, and he can sell another year of development and hopefully pick up an extension. But that is a gamble when next year's a lame duck, because Ricketts would be well within his rights to say, get out.
Two quick things, though. This is the job that he has, but I do think he is dealing with handcuffs that he won't talk about publicly. There is a financial, I don't want to say burden, but there's a number that I think he is restricted to stay within that he won't talk about publicly, but I don't believe Tom Ricketts has the appetite to go into the luxury tax. And so that's the reality that he needs to work within the confines that he has constructed. And I think it makes it more difficult for him, for his job to become, more competitive quickly. But unfortunately, that is the job he has to operate within. And so I think Tom Ricketts is the bigger issue because he doesn't want to spend in the third largest market in baseball. But unfortunately, he's Jed's boss. And so.
But really, though, I was looking at this earlier. The Cubs were second in tax payroll in 2020, 2019 maybe. They were third, fourth, 3 straight years. It's easier for me to stomach. I get it. People typically want to go, owners don't spend. I'm just saying there's recent evidence of Ricketts going into the very top of baseball in terms of
luxury
tax rankings. Mm-hmm. We have it. There's evidence of it. That was kind of Theo's mentality. It's what he did in Boston. They spent through the nose, Moneyball attitude, but with an influx of money. Came here, did the same thing. 4 years ago, you were 2 in baseball in spending. It's easier for me to stomach that he's willing to spend the money and Jed's philosophy is no than it is the opposite.
I don't truly think, though, that it's Jed's philosophy. I think he's being told one thing privately that he cannot communicate publicly.
Maybe, but
But listen,
it could be a little bit of both.
The
Maybe
resources that he's
and
spending, though, I think you can quibble with how he's spending them. And I think it could, the roster's not, it's got all the flaws that you pointed out.
And it doesn't change the fact that I think he's a prospect hugger. He is not willing to part with these guys because he's so proud of the farm system and the prospective talent. But the fact of the matter is these guys have to hit.
I think he hugs those prospects because he knows if they do come up and become decent players, he's getting them at a bargain discount, which I know his owner will appreciate. And that's why the value for him is hoping and dreaming on those guys becoming stars, because then he has them at affordable prices.
And that's, if you aren't going to hit on 60%, you're going to lose.
What else?
All right.
That's a tough clip to hit at.
I have been inundated. We've all been inundated all day long with these cicadas. Meller, you're kind of used to it a little bit.
Yeah, I've been living the cicada life in the western burbs here for 2 months.
Total shock to me, and Shay, I believe, as well, just how ubiquitous these things are. Chris Black who also lives in the city.
Did you just say ubiquitous?
Yeah.
Into a microphone?
Yeah, that's
how
right.
It's amazing to me how ubiquitous these things are.
You're not even
are
pronouncing
you
it right.
me?
Do you know what the word means?
Don't care.
You mongrel.
Don't care. It's a crazy thing to say in a conversation. I don't know if you're aware, but
damn,
the radio
it's a lot of
business
cicadas
is
out here, Shay.
conversational. Thank you. That's much better.
It's a lot of cicadas out here, Shay.
Can you imagine sitting down at a bar and your buddy's like, yeah, it was out at Seven Bridges today. Boy, the cicadas, they were ubiquitous. Oh, $1 from the top rope.
I feel attacked. Just because, listen.
I was insane.
This is like the 2 old guys in the Muppets heckling me from the rafters right now. Black and Abdallah over here.
Getting ready for crosstalk.
Cracking wise.
You're going to do crosstalk before the NBA Finals for
I
us
can
here
tell
next.
you're a writer because you paused before you said it. I could hear you flipping through your thesaurus.
I am a writer. I have to write your scripts when you fill in on White Sox pregame.
Yeah, and I have to edit them because you want me to say things like tally instead of run.
Whew. Good stuff.
All right, let me get to
this
the question.
Is fantastic.
All right. I'm staring at a cicada right now. I got hit in the face with a cicada earlier. I hate bugs.
In the face.
Do you guys remember the show Fear Factor?
I do.
Where you had to dip yourself into...
What a show.
Justin, I'm sure, loved the Fear Factor.
A great show.
If you were on Fear Factor, let's up the stakes to an unrealistic amount. $5 billion, right? $5 billion. But you had to be submersed in a tub full of whatever your phobia is, whether it's cockroaches or worms or whatever. $5 billion, you got to stay in there for 5 minutes. What is the item, and would you do it?
On the spot here. Man.
Yeah, do you want to start? I don't know what the item
I feel like
is.
snakes would
Snakes?
I'd really have a hard time being submerged in snakes, even for $5 billion.
And you're nude.
Okay. That's weird. Throw that in, that last second caveat. To be honest, I don't think the nudeness really matters, being in a tub of snakes.
I think it matters quite a bit, to be honest.
Yeah.
The nudeness changes
There
things
could
for
be
me.
orifices that those snakes find.
But they could probably find them anyway.
That's what I mean. Like, I don't think you're throwing on the Under Armour gear. I guess if that was an option, you'd rather have that
How
than
long do they
not.
have to last? 5 minutes?
5 minutes.
What's your?
I think like millipedes maybe would be the thing. Gross. And
And you could feel the legs running all over you.
And
No,
you're nude.
I would not stay in it for 5 minutes. All right, that's enough.
And that's why it is.
You're a little too excited about us being nude.
A ubiquitous version of the Z-List here on Waddle and Sylvie. Meller Norling getting set to crosstalk with Bleck and Abdallah next.